I started to wonder, and I wondered, which led me to wonder. I had to wonder. I started to wonder. I couldn't help but 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 wonder.
What the fuck is up, gamers? It's movie time.
Oh, it's movie time. And you know what is really cool is that sometimes movies are like 2.5 hours long when they should be like an hour and a half long. So instead of getting like 2 episodes for 2 Sex and the City movies, you're probably going to get 4 episodes for 2 Sex and the City movies because they're both 2.5 hours long.
That's 5 hours
That
of
is
Sex and the City content that we have to watch in like the span of like what, 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's fucking ridiculous. Like literally, I checked, and it's the first movie is literally 12 minutes shorter than Inception. Like that is fucking stupid. I'm
What,
sorry, but
like,
this is like, yeah,
Lord of the Rings length.
yeah, it's bananas. Like to me, the only movies that should be longer than 2 hours are Lord of the Rings. Like other movies just should not be longer than that. Sex and the City movie, 2.5 hours is fucking bananas. Like I got to a point today where I was like, we can't do this all in one episode.
No.
We gotta do 2. Like, and we had talked about like recording all in one sitting and then like splitting into 2 if we needed to. But I'm just like, I can't process this much at once.
No.
I still haven't even finished the movie. I have 45 minutes left. What
And
the
like,
fuck?
we usually record like pretty late on my end, so like I need to sleep.
Yeah. Right?
I can't be staying up until like fucking 2 o'clock in the morning talking about a Sex and the City movie. I'll go insane. So
I'm already, and it's only 4 o'clock in the afternoon here. So like I'm unhinged from this.
Yeah, film that makes you fucking insane to watch it. It's one of those.
Yeah. I guess we can introduce ourselves.
We should.
I'm Stephanie, and I'm your cigarette wife.
I'm Alex, and I'm Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Is Sex in the City? It's sure. I mean, it is exactly just like Sex in the City. Like, it's not like it feels different than the original series, which is the problem. I think
I would say it doesn't like the way the shots are filmed. Like the way it's filmed, a little bit is like not like a television show. Like the shots aren't like static as like they are in a television show, really. It's filmed a bit more grandiose. Like I would say the costumes are like even more. Every single scene, someone is wearing a different outfit, and it'll be like the same day and someone's in a different outfit, and you're like, why?
Yeah, it's amazing. And they also are like, oh yeah, now we can like pay for licensed music. So like it's, you know, you can tell it's not on TV, it's just like episodes anymore. But like for me, the problem is
sorry, it's just that I also noticed there would be scenes and there would be like background music, but like if weirdly it felt like sitcom music where it would be like do 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 do, like when people would having a scene like I think with the scene with Bing Carey apartment hunting, it's like woo 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 woo. Like why does it feel more like a television show when it is a film of a television show?
This is true. I guess there's some things that they probably just like, I wonder if they have like completely different editors for the movie versus the TV show.
Yeah, probably.
Maybe because they could definitely do a lot more there. But like for me, the big problem is that they write it like it's a TV show. So they don't know how to pace a movie. Instead of pacing a movie, they're like, we're going to take like 30 to 40 minute chunks of time and pace them each like a television episode and put them like back to back. So instead of having like a 3-act movie, you have like a 10-act movie that just keeps going. And
what if it was made like in the past 5 years? It would have been a mini series. Like it would have been probably like a 10, maybe not even that much. It would have been like a 6-episode miniseries, right? Like
Mhm.
on HBO Max, and it's like, this is what the girls are up to now, and it would have made sense, like logically, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas like things just keep happening and moving, and this film, like, it takes place over the course of a year, so we have a
Mhm.
year's worth of 4 different people's lives to get into.
Yeah, and like the other thing is there is so much happening in each of their lives,
Yeah.
and I think the story means for me to want to root for certain things to happen. But like
Mm.
I'm currently at a point where I haven't finished the movie yet because we wanted to record the first half today. So like I haven't gotten to the end yet. But I'm at the point where it's kind of just like there's 45 minutes left and I know how it's going to end, but nothing has set me up to want that ending at
No. It's
all.
just like, get it over with, in the words of
Yeah.
Miranda.
And it's just some of the plots are just like, why did you have to do this to these characters who were in a place where even if I didn't love where they ended, I could at least accept it. But then they had to be like, because like I'm thinking like Carrie and Big. The end of the show, I'm like, whatever. I'm just gonna imagine that he stops treating her like shit for the rest of his life. And suddenly their relationship is mostly better now. Obviously, no relationship can be like perfect, but like I'm imagining that they're going to be better. But then this is like, yeah, no, he continues to do shit that I hate. So it's like,
Mhm.
once again, him being forgiven at the end of the series after realizing all his mistakes. It's like you take all of that back. It's extremely Homestuck too, where it's like, yeah, some of these characters had some really great endings. And then you just take something and you're like, what if I tear this apart for no reason? And people who were happy about it will be like, why did you tear this thing apart for no reason? Why would you do this? This isn't good to me in terms of storytelling. And that's what I feel like watching this movie was like, except I like Homestuck 2 more than I like this movie.
Yeah, it's like, I feel like just a lot of stuff, they're like, well, let's change things. It's like, no, the ending was I remember there being this big call for there to be a movie, and I don't know why, because like the TV show just wrapped everything up. Like, it was fine. I
Mhm.
guess people just like the characters and wanted to see them again. But I remember there being this big
Yeah.
call for the film, and like when it was finally announced, like everyone lost their fucking minds, and it was a big fucking to do. But I'm like, why? Like, everything was wrapped up fine. It's not like it ended on a cliffhanger or like was cancelled before it got to its actual ending.
Yeah.
It feels like, okay, that's it, that's done. The other actors are still making films. You can see them in those.
They're doing other stuff.
Yeah.
It's like the things that ended nicely, I don't want you to just be like, I'm going to take it away from you and then make you want it back again. It's like, that's not going to work though. You can't just make me want something. And it's just so long.
Should we get into it?
Yeah, let's start it. We
Okay,
got a
so
fucking
we
pink
get fucking
HBO logo.
we get an HBO logo for a film, and we also then we have like the opening theme that goes into a Fergie remix.
Yeah, this is a fucking remix. It's so much. And then we get like Carrie's like wearing this huge hideous flower outfit, and then there's like
Well,
these 4 young girls who are clearly like look exactly like young Carrie, because it's like this is supposed to be in the past, right? Like this is like what Carrie when she was younger. I think.
I don't know, or I think it's just like young, because we see like there's like a lot of shots where there's like 4 other like younger women, and I guess it's meant
Yeah,
to be, like, how relatable they are. Also, this
yeah.
Whitney Houston wore it like in the
Okay.
80s, and I've seen a picture and I'm like, "Whoa."
It's a lot.
Yeah, it's
I
very
don't love
80s.
the big flower. Yeah, it is very 80s. We get some recaps. We get recaps of how all of the stories ended, what all the characters' names are, in case you never watched the show, but your wife or something took you to the movie, I guess. I don't know. Like, is that what
Yeah.
they were going for? Like,
I think so. I remember it's been like 4 years, so I guess it's fair enough to do a recap. Also, I remember really wanting to watch this film when it came out, and I must have been like 12.
yeah,
So,
fair.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, they give us some recaps. We know that, so we learned that, so it's been like 5 years, I think. And so Charlotte and Perry have had Lily for 5 years now. That's their daughter, their adopted daughter.
Well, I think it's been like 4. I think they say like Lily's 3 at one point. So I think it's been like, and it's 4 years since the show ended. So yeah, I guess it's like 3 or 4
Yeah, that might
years.
make sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. And then so now Samantha's living in Hollywood because she's still with Smith, and he's like a TV actor now, I guess. So she lives there with him.
hmm
And then Miranda and Carrie are just like still with Big and Steve. And that's like,
Yeah, nothing has changed with them.
yeah. Well, nothing has changed except that we find out like, well, Carrie has now published 3 books instead of just
Yeah.
one. Because at first I was really confused why they kept reading all these excerpts from her book where it was like Alexander Petrovsky. And I'm just like, wait, but your book was published before that. And then they're like, oh no, she published 2 more books.
Yeah, and
You
like
thought.
that book was just a collection of like stories from your column. So
Yeah, exactly.
and yeah,
Um,
she's still living in her old apartment.
Yes, she is. Because her and Big have not yet moved in together, but they are currently apartment hunting. So uh, that's basically like the beginning of this movie is they're currently looking at their like 33rd apartment or something in New York because apparently it's like super hard. I don't even know why they're looking at some of these places when like clearly Big has so much money that like places just seem like the one place we really see like it would be a fine place for like a normal person to live, but I cannot imagine like obviously like they don't get it, so like I can't imagine someone like
Well, it's like this
going there,
apartment that's
but
like kind of small and a bit dark, but they mentioned that it's on Fifth Avenue, and like it has a
yeah,
doorman and everything. So I'm absolutely sure it costs more money than like I've ever seen in
oh
my
for
life.
sure, yeah,
And
definitely.
also, I feel like super rich people like this. I don't know. Don't they send like other people to look at houses and then they're like, oh, this one seems cool. I'll get the buyer in now. Like that's what happens with like big property.
Probably, yeah.
So and they have like an old woman there, and I don't know why she's there. Like, is she because they have it's so weird. They like have an estate agent and then they have like their own Magda, who's like an old woman making like snarky comments.
Yeah, I don't really know what her point was. She was just there, and I'm like, she's just being kind of rude the whole time. But the guy who's like showing the place is like, because they're like, okay, is there anything else in the same building? And the guy's like, well, we do have one that's above your price range. And they're like, how much above? And he's just like, above. So it's we know it's a spency place. And he takes them there, and he like when he gets in the elevator, he presses like the penthouse button.
Yeah. So they go up and it's fucking gorgeous. Like it's a massive place. There's loads of light. There's like a courtyard, which is a lot.
Yeah, that
Um
is so nice. It's so
it was
nice.
gorgeous. So obviously Carrie is in love and she's like, "Oh, it's wonderful. Like, oh, I love it so much." They go to the bedroom and she looks in the closet and it's just tiny. So she makes a face, and Big's like, "I'll build you a bigger one," which was hot, just because I like the idea of like having my own walk-in wardrobe.
Yeah.
But it was Big saying it, so it wasn't that sexy.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like it's very much like, ooh, I do love the idea of just like getting a custom built closet
Yeah,
because I don't have enough space. It's very good.
I think just storage is sexy to me.
Yeah, I do love storage. That's why I like going to IKEA so much, I think.
Me
It's good.
too. Oh, I love
Um,
it. But yeah, so he's like, "Oh, you love this place. I love this place. Let's get it." Because if you just have money, you can just do that, I guess.
you just do whatever the fuck you want when you have a lot of money. Yeah, it's kind of annoying, but like everyone has the nicest things ever in this show. So of course they're gonna get this extremely nice like
Yeah.
Park Avenue or
This
Fifth Avenue, whatever the fuck.
this is what I wanted to say. This like film was released in 2008. So like all of them talk like there's so much talk about money and everyone has like designer wardrobes and new outfits in every fucking scene and I'm like, oof. Oof.
Yeah, this is true.
No wonder this didn't resonate as much as it did like when it first came out because no one had any fucking
Yeah,
money.
this is true. And doesn't like I don't really know what Big's job is, but I imagine he works in some kind of investment. So like I feel like he's probably like not doing the best right now. Yeah. But yeah, who knows? I don't know. Investment stonks, like whatever. That's probably something to do with what Big does. He does mention at some point that like someone is the guy he works with at the firm. So he works at a firm. No idea what kind of firm, but at the firm.
No idea. We finally learn that his name is John James Preston. And they say it so casually. I'm like, who? But yeah, I don't know. He works at a firm? ?
John James Preston. It's
That's
just like it's like a joke name that you give a character because you're like, this is a rich 12-year-old boy. I'm going to name him John James Preston, and it's funny.
He sounds he sounds like a bully.
Yeah, he does. And he is, I think. But yeah, so he decides that like we're getting this place, and we also have Samantha arriving back in New York because they're all going to this auction for like this woman who's getting divorced had a bunch of jewelry, and so she's like selling all of the jewelry, and Samantha's like, oh, I really want this one piece, so we're gonna go and bid a bunch of money on it.
Yeah, she flew to New York just to like bid on this piece, I guess.
I
guess. Like, okay, you're flying all the way across a country to bid on a massive piece of jewelry.
Yeah.
There's also reminded me of a tweet I saw the other day that was like, why in the Sex and the City movie is everyone always shocked to see Samantha when she's in every other scene?
Yeah, because it is like, okay, so she does fly back from a lot. She does fly in a lot, but it's like she's there all the time. She really fucking is. She just keeps showing up and they're all like, ah!
They scream every time she's there, and it's like, I get that it takes place over a year, but like she's probably going like what, once a month maybe?
Something like that, probably. Like it is a ridiculous amount, but still.
So yeah, they go to bid on this like ring, and Samantha is putting up a little paddle, and then it goes up to 50,000. She's like 50 fucking thousand because she's in a bidding war with a woman who is on the phone bidding for someone else. Which Samantha could have just done.
Could have done this the whole time, but she does kind of go bitch.
I guess, and also I guess you want to see your friends or whatever, but fine. So she gets outbidded on it, and she's like, "Oh, bitch!" And then they go to the bathroom, and they start talking to this other woman, and she's like, "Oh, isn't it sad, this whole thing?" And the woman whose jewelry is up for auction, she was with a guy who had 2 or 3 previous marriages, so he didn't want to get married again. And then one day she came home and all her stuff was out in the street. He locked her out, and she had been dating him for 10 years, and she got, nothing out of it apart from her jewelry. Like, because I guess, if you break up with someone, you don't have any like legal recourse for your stuff.
Yeah, pretty much.
And
it's
everyone
extremely
is
on the nose.
It's on the nose. Everyone is looking at Carrie like, that's you.
Yeah. I mean, her and Big are not yet married. They're still dating. But like, okay, but this was a divorce though. So I'm guessing she just didn't have any kind of prenup or something. Like,
I don't know. I don't know if it was like a divorce or if she got a lawyer anyway and who had to like find all the loopholes to get her shit, or like maybe because they say that like she's the one who is auctioning off her stuff because she obviously doesn't have any money, and also it's like a fuck you to him, like I don't need anything, you got me. But it's I don't understand. It's just the whole thing is we're pointing fingers at Carrie being like, you should get married.
Yeah, it is very like that. And then the very next, I don't know if it's the very next scene, but like very soon after, we see a scene where Carrie and Big are just talking about the place, and Carrie's just like, you're buying the place. And he's like, well, I'm buying it for us. And she's like, yeah, but ultimately you're buying the place. And so like, even if it's for us, I don't actually own any of it. Like I don't have anything. And so like I don't know, if something happens, like I legally do not have anything.
No, so earlier Miranda suggested that Carrie keeps her place, so like she has that if anything falls through. I guess Carrie ain't no scum landlord though, because it would make sense for her to keep the place and just rent it out.
No, not really.
Well, no, but I'm not trying to say she should be a landlord, but I feel like she sells her apartment like so quickly. I'm like,
she does sell it pretty quick, but I guess we also don't have a super great gauge of the passing of time because stuff does happen over time.
Yeah. But Carrie, so Miranda is like, okay, you should keep your place. So you have that like either as like a source of income or just if anything falls through, you can go back to your place. And Carrie's like, nah, but she decides that she's going to sell her place and then use the money to put into the new apartment so that she has like some legal control over it.
Yeah, which like makes sense because yes, so like in this scene where her and Big are talking about it and she mentions how she doesn't have anything legally, he's like, well, do you want to get married? Like, I mean, like that's kind of the answer to that basically. And she's like, I thought that was off the table. Like, I didn't even think of that. And he's like, I mean, I want to be with you, whether that means whatever. It's so nonchalant of him. He's just like, I mean, I don't care either way. Like, you get married, sure.
So fun story. My dad did this to my mum, basically, because they're not married, and he basically said to her like, "Oh, we should probably get married for like legal reasons because obviously, like when he dies, he doesn't he wants all his stuff to basically go to her. Like that's what I mean. That's what he wants. It's like I want you to have control over this stuff. I trust you." With like next of kin and everything. But he did it so nonchalantly, just like and very matter of fact. Like this is like this, where he's just like, we should get married because it will benefit us legally. And my mum was like, yeah, okay, and just kind of shrugged it off, like, yeah, we probably should. And then my dad was like, oh well, we're not going to get married now because your mother wasn't very enthusiastic. Dad,
because like if you want her to be, if you want someone to be enthusiastic about it, you have to be enthusiastic about it too. Like when you respond to that, you probably match the energy of the person saying it. So like if someone is like, I don't know, maybe we should get married, they're not going to be like, oh my god, we're getting married. Like they're going to match your level of excitement. So
yeah, I'm like, I get it. Like especially when you've been together for a long time, it's just like, okay, I guess. Like, I don't know, there's not as much romance as if you've been dating someone for a few years and they get down on one knee and propose.
Yeah.
So she was just like, okay.
Yeah. I feel like legally also, like, I mean, once you're common law, isn't there some kind of rights you do end up having? I don't really know how it works, but
I think there's not like a common law thing here like there is in other places. You can get a civil partnership.
Yeah.
I mean, they like everything they really buy, they buy like big stuff. They buy together anyway. So it's not so much for that. It's just obviously like anything that's in his name. I don't know. It's not like they have a wage disparity that is as much as Big and Carrie.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. That's like theirs is huge.
Yeah. So it's like you better get married and get that prenup. Don't make him sign a prenup, Carrie.
Sure.
You fucking rinse him, get that bag.
Get it.
Yeah.
She should, but she's not going to, which makes me fucking pissed off. But anyway. So then we get Carrie like telling the girls about her engagement, and they're at like a restaurant, and it's like a pretty nice place, and Charlotte just screams. She like literally screams in the restaurant.
I mean, fucking 10 years of this bullshit. I would scream too.
She does get up and announce to like the entire restaurant that her and her boyfriend had been dating for 10 years and are finally engaged, and everyone claps, Opa Carrie style.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like if you like have a friend and they've had like an on and off thing with someone else, when they're like, okay, we're together like for real this time, I'm like, oh, thank God. Just shut up about
That
it. I
is
don't
true.
care.
That is true. I do think it's bullshit when she says they've been together for 10 years. 'Cause
No,
it's like,
they
oh, that's
haven't.
fucking bullshit. She was engaged to someone else in that time. He was married.
Someone else in that time.
He was married to someone else. They were apart for like at least a couple full years in that time. They have been back together for like 3 years. You cannot tell me that they've been together for 10 years. I will kill you, Charlotte. Anyway. Yeah, and was that pretty much everything that happened in that scene? I feel like nothing else too exciting
Because then
happened.
Carrie calls Samantha, and like Samantha isn't very impressed. She's more
Yeah.
happy at the idea of Carrie getting Botox. But she
Yeah.
has another. What? You there?
Yeah, you kind of cut out for a sec.
Oh, okay.
You were saying she was more excited about getting Botox, and then
Yeah, and then Carrie, and then she's at work. Like Samantha's at work, so she hangs up because she's got another call. And then she calls back later and she's like, I'm sorry, I was just in shock because, and like Samantha has a good point of like, she kind of thought that Carrie would like join her and just not ever getting married. Like, not in a bad way, just like, just don't feel the need to. So she felt a
yeah.
little bit, left out and a bit shocked by the news.
Yeah, and I think it's also kind of like, I think she also just didn't think Big wanted to get married again. Like, I just wasn't something, like, I feel like that is the kind of thing that Carrie probably would have talked about to them if she was like thinking about it at all. And so it does kind of seem like it's just completely out of left field at this point. But
It's so,
which it kind of is.
she's right, but like again, this is another scene that just like is so pointless because like she immediately she hangs up and then like immediately calls back. Like why? Just have her there at the fucking lunch thing and say that she's still visiting from like I don't know from the auction. And then she goes, really? I didn't think Big wanted to get married. And Carrie's like, well, I spoke to him and he does. And then she's like, oh, well, congrats, I guess. Done.
Yeah, and like it also is very much like this is for my own protection. Like a lot of it is for like legal reasons because it's like I want to make sure that, everything is fine. I don't end up like, making a stupid decision where if something does go wrong, I lose like everything I have. Which is a valid reason a lot of people get married. So I don't know. But I don't know. This whole scene is stupid. But I mean, I guess they wouldn't hit their 2.5-hour runtime if they didn't include it. So
well, we gotta have that. We gotta get to 2.5 hours.
Audience demands it. So we also then find out that Anthony is like helping to plan the wedding with Carrie. And so like Anthony and Charlotte are both at Carrie's apartment. And Carrie like pulls out the dress that she got, and she got it at a vintage shop, and it's very simple. But Anthony and Charlotte are just like, it's so plain. Like they're so unenthused.
Yeah, I mean it is pretty plain, but like Carrie said they're meant to be having just 75 guests and a small wedding and super chill. So it makes sense, but it's not very Carrie.
Yeah, it is an interesting choice, but she says she saw it when she was like at a vintage store, and she's like, and I saw it and I was like, this is what I'm gonna marry Big in. And Anthony's just like so disturbed that she's not wearing like a designer name for the wedding. But she seems happy with it at this point. And then but then we also get Carrie doing this whole like wedding shoot. Like she talks to Enid at Vogue about how they're doing this thing. They're doing this like article about like getting married at 40. I don't even know like what is the point of it? Like is it Carrie the only one or is there other brides?
They're doing an age issue or it's like the Vogue annual age issue. I don't know if this is the thing that is just like American Vogue. I've never fucking heard of it. So they have an age issue where they, I guess, examine age through like different factors and lenses. And I think they have like photo shoots for like each decade because Enid says like you'd be 40 And 40 is like, you're getting married at 40 now. Oh my God. In the 2000s, getting married at 40.
Yeah,
Who
she's
would
like
have
40 is
thought?
the oldest age you can be photographed as a bride.
Yeah, just like otherwise it gets kind of sad. It gets into Diane Arbus territory. Like,
Huh.
what?
Yeah, it's extremely like, okay, chill out there, Enid. Like, it's fine. There are so many moments in this movie where it just seems like so many decisions and things that happen are based on the fact that the characters are lonely and getting old. And it's like, that's like should be the opposite point that this movie has, right? Like, I feel like so much of it is like, yeah, no, you're in your 40s, but you're not like dead, you're not dying, you're not like, or maybe you
No.
are, but look, when you're in your 40s, you're still a human. Like, you're not this like piled up shrivel of bones. Like,
You would think they were talking about them like they were 90 years old.
yeah. And like, there's just so many things where it's like, even just in like the second half of this movie, which we're not going to even get to today, but like, there's just parts where it's like, oh, maybe you should forgive him because you're lonely. And it's like, is that the only answer? Is that it? Like, I don't. Yeah. Anyway,
we don't even need to get into it, but like a lot of it is like, oh well, you're lonely. A man who fucking broke your heart is the best you're gonna get at this age, so might as well. Like, it's a lot. It does feel like so sexist in the way of like, well, once women turn 40, they are invisible, or at least 40 is like the last legs you have left before you turn into the fucking Wicked Witch from Snow White.
Yeah, it feels very counter to the messages that were in the original series, because there's like, by the end of the TV show run, we're getting to Samantha in her late 40s being like, fuck it, I'm a perfectly competent, proud to be late 40s woman. Like, I'm not gonna hide it. Like, I don't know, I just feels like
she's like, here's my successful job, here's my fucking hot boyfriend, let's go. And then now they're like, disgusting, getting married in your fucking 40s. What are you, goddamn witch?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot. And like, I know that a lot of it is other people saying it to them, but it's like not exactly said to them like as if, oh, well, this is clearly just stupid and wrong. And I don't know. And a lot of it is the stuff they say when they're like, oh, maybe I should just settle. Maybe I should forgive this person who's wronged me, even though it's like something they probably shouldn't be forgiven for. And maybe that's just because I'm also someone who like doesn't really like forgiving people. But it makes me frustrated.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's like they don't really fight back on it, is the thing. Whereas I feel like they would normally. So then we see like the Goldenblatts having breakfast, and they're so cute. I fucking love them.
They're adorable. This family is just perfect. Maybe they didn't just like ruin the family. Like,
they're disgusting. Yeah, I know. But they're perfect. They're adorable, and they're having breakfast. And Charlotte screams again because Carrie's on page 6. They mention the wedding, like, the notorious single girl is finally getting married. And then like Carrie, so yeah, when Carrie's at Vogue, basically we cut like immediately to the photo shoot, and she's wearing like all these couture wedding dresses, and this scene is so fucking long because usually it's just good old fashioned rule of 3. Like you go like, she's like, I made new friends. What like she's naming all the designers like, oh, Carolina Herrera and da da. And instead of just doing like 3, they do like fucking like 10 dresses. I mean,
there's so many dresses.
Oh, it's gorgeous dresses. Don't get me wrong, of course. But it just goes on and on and on. Anyway, finally, she wears a Vivienne Westwood dress. And then fucking Vivienne Westwood herself, apparently, is like, oh, I saw the spread, and like gives her the dress.
Yeah, sends it to her in the mail and is just like, you deserve to, or something. So now Carrie is suddenly, without a second, like without any thought, she's like, well, I guess I have a better dress now. I'm gonna wear this one instead of the one I thrifted.
Vivienne Westwood gives you a dress. I don't feel like you can't really turn that down, can you?
Oh yeah, I mean you can't turn it down. Like obviously she should keep it either way. It's just very funny that she seemed so committed to being like, I saw this dress and it was the perfect one for me marrying Big. And then she just doesn't even have like a moment of thought about replacing it. She's just like, new dress, I'm wearing this one now.
Head empty. I mean, it's Carrie. She just sees something. She's like a magpie. She sees something shiny and she wants it.
This is true. These are all very good points.
Yeah. And also, okay, so Carrie and Big are in bed. This is something that happens throughout the movie, but she wears a long pearl necklace to bed.
Yeah, that's a choice.
Why?
Don't know why.
Do you want to get strangled? It's weird.
I did always used to think about that whenever I wore necklaces to bed as a kid, because my mom was like, you shouldn't wear necklaces to bed because you might strangle yourself. And then I was just thought that was a big problem for a long time. And then I realized that that doesn't really happen to people. But I also wore like cheaper necklaces that would probably break before they strangled me. But still.
Yeah. Like I just wear like a little like fine like gold necklace. So if they were like getting caught or anything, they'd just snap off. I don't think they can strangle me. Hope not. But if that's how I die, that's how I die. It's fine.
Yeah. That would be a kind of a sexy way to go, is just like accidentally strangling yourself in your sleep with your golden necklace.
Oh my god. It's like in Game of Thrones.
Which part of Game of Thrones?
When Shay gets fucking like strangled with the necklace by Tyrion, but instead of Tyrion, it's me. I'm my own Tyrion.
Oh no.
I know. That's so sad. Anyway, so they're in bed and they're being very adorable. And she's reading a book from the public library that is a collection of love letters from great men, which found out also from the IMDb this book does not exist or did not, but then they made a tie-in version.
Oh my god. Do they also make more than one volume? Because this is volume 1.
That's true. No. I think maybe it was just volume 1.
Okay.
Then maybe for the second movie, we'll wait and see. Stay tuned, folks.
Yeah, just wait a month or so.
She's reading these letters. One of them is from Napoleon Bonaparte, who I think Josephine was like his cousin or something as well. That's always fun. But they're basically their letters from like men of history, their love letters. And she's like, oh, isn't it romantic? Isn't it sweet? Ugh. And they get to one of Beethoven, and it says like, ever thine, ever mine, ever ours. And then that becomes like a thing throughout the movie. It's a lot.
It's a lot. And Big's also just like, yeah, I'm not the love letter kind of guy, because most of these guys weren't there, you know? They were like separated from their love, so they had to write letters, but I'm just like here, so like I don't have to write a letter.
Yeah, and when like she's reading the Napoleon one, he's like gives it all away straight off the bat. Classic short guy move. I hate this dude. You're there, like, look how romantic this is, and he's like, I'm gonna make a joke. Like, shut up.
He does always do that. It's like, you can just appreciate things. Like, you don't have to make fun of everything. But okay, men love to do that. They're like, haha, instead of sincerely, genuinely enjoying things, I'm going to be ironic and rude and sarcastic. And it's like, great. Okay, so you're like every single other person. Cool.
Love that for you.
Yeah, so good. I'm gonna clap. And she, yeah, Carrie's also wearing Big's glasses this entire scene, and I'm like, you should probably get your own prescription. It's supposed to be like cute, I think, but I'm like, maybe go to the optometrist.
Yeah, I guess they're just like reading glasses, so they're ones you can share. But I cannot imagine.
Yeah, it is very like, I guess you can get those, but like when you have like a lot of money, you might as well just get your own pair. But then we go to Miranda and Steve.
Yeah.
And they're fucking, and I hate it.
Well, so they go to dinner. It's like they're at like a restaurant for dinner, and then Miranda is being like all aggy because apparently she's tired, and Steve like she has like a coffee, I guess, at dinner. Could not be me. And she gets like a little bit of foam on her lip, and Steve's like, "Oh, you got foam on your lip." And Miranda's like, "Why are you're always criticizing me?"
This is just the most ridiculous Miranda overwriting the writers could possibly do. Like, Steve's like, what, you want me to just not tell you have whipped cream on your face and then you just walk around like that all the time? And then, like, he does make a joke and she laughs. And so they're like, she's not mad at him or anything, but she's just like frustrated.
Yeah, so he like puts his mouth in the cream and he's like, "Oh, you're gonna tell me something?" I sound like Denzel Washington in like any Spike Lee movie. I don't know why. He's like, "Oh, you're gonna tell me something?" And she's like, and then she kisses him, and then they're fucking. And they're fucking with their t-shirt on. Right. Okay. I have an issue with this. So
yeah. Okay.
The whole thing blows up because Miranda is about to nut, and Steve's like, "Oh, no, don't you come yet. Get on top of me." And she's like, "Oh, can we just get this over with?" And listen, if I'm about to nut and you're like, "No, let's change." No.
Yeah, right? Okay, yeah, I don't like okay, maybe okay, so Steve, sure that like for your stupid dick, it's really easy. Why are you telling her this? Like anyway, and then like the girls, when Miranda tells them about it, they all seem like really appalled, and I'm just like, they're like, "You wanted to make it go longer and you told them to stop. What's wrong with you?" And I'm just like, I don't understand why everyone's attacking Miranda about this.
No, I don't either. Like, first of all, if she is about to come and you're like, "Let's change position." And listen, if I'm about to nut and you do anything differently, I'm gonna be mad. I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah.
And then like, okay, if she is not wanting to have the kind of sex you're wanting to have, then like you have to deal with that, right? And like I get that his ego would be a bit bruised, but like why are you trying to change position when she's about to come? And he knew she was about to come. So that's what I have the issue with. And yeah, it was
the issue is with the wording.
like,
I guess
thing is they haven't had sex in 6 months as well. Yeah.
That's the other thing. But like, I guess his main problem is with her wording when she's like, "Let's just get it over with," and he's just like, "Seriously?" And it's like, I don't know. I just do it. Like, I don't know. I hate it.
I don't know. Maybe she was faking an orgasm, and she was just, and that's why, because she was like, "Oh, if I fake it, he'll finish." You know, we've been there, ladies. Am I right? Am I right?
It's possible that happened, but yeah, so that I hate that. We also then kind of get to the scene where Miranda's telling the girls about it, and like since Lily is there, Charlotte keeps being like, "We're not gonna use the word sex. We're gonna just say coloring, and we're gonna use this coloring metaphor this entire conversation, so it will be really funny."
Yeah, because you know Samantha's like, "Oh, when I color, I like to use every crayon in the box." And yeah, and like Charlotte's like, "Well, Harry and I color about 3 or 4 times a week." And what is Carrie says like, "Oh, I'm not gonna say," like, because she's so, I don't know, she's being a bit of a prude, to be honest. Like, come on, your column was called Sex and the City, Carrie.
Crayons in the City.
Yeah, Crayons in the City. And she's like, "Oh, I'm not gonna say, but what I will say is that when John," I can't remember if she says John or Big, but she says like, when he does color, he rarely stays inside the lines. It's so gross. And then they have like the grossest fucking makeout scene.
It's
So
so
she
gross.
goes home and she's like, John. And he's on the balcony. So she goes out there and he like pushes her against the wall and like licks her tits.
It's so gross. I hate it.
It's so gross. And also because he's so much taller than her, he has to like bend down. And it's like, it gave me the ick, to be honest.
Yeah, I didn't like it. It's gross. And she talks about him coloring outside the lines again. And I'm just like, what does that mean? Where is he nutting? Like, where is it going?
I think it just means maybe he's just nutting on her chest, and maybe they just use the pull-out method.
Maybe. It's very funny to imagine that it's just like he just is not able to figure out where the hole is. So he's just kind of like coloring outside the lines means he's just like constantly just like scribbling around with his dick and being like, all right, almost there, almost in the lines. I don't know.
I had sex with a guy, and he like didn't have the biggest dick in the world. I'll say that. I'll be polite. And there were a couple moments where like he wasn't in, but he was like in between my thighs, or like in a sort of crevice, I guess. And was like, ooh, and I was just quite like, you're not in. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's like he thinks he's in, but he's not in.
Do you think that she calls him Mr. Big as a joke? Like, as it's like ironic? Like, she's like, oh yeah, Mr. Big. And it's like, it's a funny joke.
Maybe that's why he didn't want to commit to her, because she was just constantly taking the piss out of his dick size.
Maybe. They talk about it like it's so important on the show. So who knows? But
Theory. Game theory with Alex and Stephanie.
I just think that it's canon.
Canon confirmed. I mean, the movies aren't canon, but that is canon.
That is for sure.
Yeah,
absolutely. Because she's been calling him that since like she was calling him Mr. Big before they fucked, I think.
Yeah,
like,
she was calling him like the first. Like, I think the first time they met, I think it's because he was like a big name in finance or something.
Yeah,
like, he was obviously like, you know, big in that sense.
Yeah, and then I think what happened was they did have sex, and it turned into her doing like what she thought was a funny joke about his penis.
Yeah, he doesn't have like a micro penis. He just has like on the smaller end, you know.
Mhm.
And she thinks it's funny, and like he doesn't.
Yeah.
And so Sam is at her beach house, and Smith has the ring that she wanted in his pants and looks like a boner. And she pulls it out, and she's like, "Oh, this is the second favorite thing that I found in those." And it's their anniversary. It's their 5th year anniversary. So he got her the ring, even though Samantha is like, "Well, I wanted to buy it for myself."
Yeah.
And she wants to fuck, but he has to go to bed because he has to get up early for work. He has to be at like the studio for 6, so like obviously he wants to go to bed. And later, Sam is in her hot tub, and she spies her neighbor fucking a woman, and she looks like she's having a great time.
Yeah, definitely having a time. And Samantha just watches. And this just becomes like a thing she does. Like it happens regularly, and it happens like every night. And she just watches the neighbor.
And this guy apparently is bringing home women, like a different woman every night. Which, sir, I hope you're wearing protection.
I really hope so too. And like are getting checked pretty regularly.
Yeah. Because that's a lot. But she just watches. Just watches. Don't know if that's legal, to be honest, though.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wonder if it's like they do have their window wide open, like
and the curtain's wide open, and like obviously she's being loud, so I guess they kind of know.
Yeah.
Big shows Carrie the closet. It's perfect. It's fucking huge. Everything's clean and brightly lit. And she got herself like a pair of Manolo Blahniks, and she puts them on like the shoe rack, and it's the first ones there, and everything's fucking perfect.
It's
wonderful.
nice.
Nothing could ever go wrong.
Nothing could ever go wrong. It is really cool, but the whole time I was like, where did this room come from? Like Matt was saying, okay, maybe he just converted another room behind it into a closet because it's a big penthouse. So maybe like it was a different room and now it's a closet. Because I'm like, where, like you can't just make a room exist. It has to come from some space.
I feel like, I don't know, when you're rich enough, like space doesn't exist. You can bend space to your will,
Yeah.
right?
This is true. It's kind of like a House of Leaves type situation, like,
Yeah.
but for closets.
Yeah, I mean, it's still in the same bedroom that was the master bedroom. I mean, a penthouse like that, I don't understand why it didn't have a large closet anyway.
I think
Like,
it would.
the
It's
one they show is literally smaller than the one I have in my room.
yeah, it's like the size of my closet, basically.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it's very beautiful, and she's very excited.
Mm-hmm.
And now Carrie gets to pack up her place. So this is kind of like the goodbye to Carrie's apartment, which okay, this is what's frustrating me because in the first half of the movie, I was like, it makes sense that they would want to give her apartment a proper farewell after the whole run of the series, and she's been in here so long. So they're going to give a proper farewell with this really nice scene of her friends hanging out there, helping her with packing and shit.
Yep.
And then it's like, it turns out, oh no, Carrie's going to be in her apartment again later in the movie. So it's like, why did they have to include this now? Or why did they have to include it at all? Like,
I guess so, like, you don't expect the twist, but, like, literally she's there for the other half of the movie. And if that's the case, why not just have her move into a different place?
yeah, something like that. But
yeah, I don't know. So right, so yeah, they do this whole like sending Samantha comes, they all scream, they go through her clothes and they're like, oh, toss, keep, whatever. And she puts on like a couple like really horrible 80s dresses, and then she puts on the pink tutu from the opening credits. And they're all the girls love it and clap, and Lily's there. I mean, Lily's just adorable, so I don't mind the fact that she's in every scene. But I am also like, why would you bring a child to this?
She brings Lily like everywhere. I also feel like it's kind of weird that they just had this entire scene about using like coloring as a metaphor for sex, and then they have Lily coloring in like the very next scene. It's like you could have had her doing a different activity, but
yeah.
Anyway.
And they're also like all drinking champagne. I'm like, who is looking after this child?
They are, because when Samantha arrives from fucking like she arrives unannounced and she's like, oh, this apartment has so many memories to it, so we have to give it a proper farewell. And so she pulls out one bottle of champagne from behind her back, and then she pulls out a second bottle of champagne from behind her back.
Yeah.
So they are each having half a bottle of champagne if they drink all of this. So like they're gonna be pretty fucking loopy by the end of this.
Yeah, they're at least buzzed, you know?
Yeah.
And Lily is just there. And yeah, that's kind of it. And so Carrie's voiceover is like, oh, it took 4 friends 3 days to pack up 20 years worth of memories. Okay,
Yeah.
it took her 3 days. It took 4 people 3 days to pack up a studio apartment.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much. She has a lot of clothes, but it's just like
clothes, and I know it's 20 years, but
they are drinking.
They are drinking. Also, I'm like, why didn't you have any like professional people like help you with that? I don't know.
Right, because so much of this movie is like, oh, we can pay someone to do that for us. We don't have to do it ourselves. Like so many times in this movie, they say that.
Yeah, and Samantha and Miranda are just like, oh, let's take 3 days off work to help our friend move. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, when also Miranda keeps making these points to be like, I have a full-time job. I can't just do anything. I can't
a child.
Just a child and PTA meetings. I can't just do stuff, which is a fair argument, but she makes it quite a few times in this movie when like she also does this.
Yeah, and there's never an answer for it. There's never like, I guess she has Magda, but like, I don't know, still.
Yeah. It's also funny that Charlotte has brought Lily, but like Miranda pretty much never brings Brady.
Never. Maybe she's. Do you think she's weird? Like, oh, if he hangs out with like doing girly things, like he'll be gay. But like, Miranda wouldn't care about that.
I don't think so. I feel like maybe more of the issue is that like bringing a baby from Brooklyn to Manhattan is kind of a hassle if you're not driving. And so maybe that's kind of annoying. Whereas like Charlotte lives in Manhattan. And like the other thing is Steve works nights usually. So he like probably is free during the day to watch Brady and like also has Magda. But like Charlotte's a stay-at-home mom. So I guess she brings Lily because like she doesn't have a nanny because she does stay home. I don't know.
Yeah, also like I don't know, Brady's sort of at that age where like he'd probably be like bored by what they're doing. Lily can happily sit in color for a bit. Also
Mhm.
I guess depending on like the temperament of the kids.
Yeah, this is true.
Yeah.
Plus, like Lily's really cute, so it's good to have her in scenes, whereas
Yeah.
Brady's normal. I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad about him. He's just like an actual kid, but like Lily's really cute is the thing. So it's like, oh, every time she's in a scene, we would just like clapped because she was so cute.
She's so cute. I just
Like
want to pinch her cheeks.
she has a scene when they're all trying on clothes where she tries on the accessories too, and it's so cute.
Oh, I love her.
Love it.
She's an angel.
Yeah.
This is a hashtag Team Lily.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
Yeah. So speaking of Steve and Miranda, they're back at home and Steve is being weird. So then she's like, "What's going on?" He's like, "Oh, I cheated on you. You do it.
He's
You'll
like,
carry it."
Miranda, I had sex with somebody else. They stuck my penis into someone else's hole, and now it's killing me, Miranda. It only happened once. Like, it just happened, but it's killing me that I accidentally tripped and oopsied my penis into a hole. And Miranda's just like, excuse me? Like, oh, I don't know. Okay, so I haven't finished yet, so I don't know if we get an answer, but you don't just accidentally cheat on a
No.
partner. Like, it doesn't just happen that you just happen to accidentally have sex with someone. It's like, is there just some woman that he had been flirting with? Is it just a completely random person out of completely nowhere? Like, I don't understand the logistics of this happening at all.
No. No, I don't know who it and we don't know who it was. Like it doesn't really make any sense. And he's like, "Oh, I've been wanting to tell I've been wanting to tell you I feel awful." And obviously Miranda is very hurt. Um and then this is the thing where I was like, right, Steve needs to be hung, drawn, and quartered. But
Yeah.
okay, so right. Let's say you cheat on your partner. Dear listener, I would not assume that you would be that bad of a person. So I'm not,
Mhm.
trying to put anything on you. But let's say hypothetically, you cheat on your partner. You do the right thing and you tell them, right?
Mhm.
And you're honest about it. And then obviously you share so you're sharing the same like living space, same bed. Do you go to bed? Do you go to sleep in the bed? Like, I guess I'll go to
Right?
bed. Like, no, sleep on
Yeah.
the fucking couch or in a guest room. Like, go somewhere
On the
else.
porch or something. Like,
Sleep outside on the fucking dirt. Like, don't sleep in the same bed as them.
yeah, because what happens is like, because Miranda walks away and is like, don't follow me, don't talk to me. And then later she goes upstairs for bed and Steve is in the bed. And it's like,
Yeah.
why are you there? Go away. Like, what are you doing? Because he's just trying to apologize. He's like, Miranda, it's still me. It's still Steve. And she's like, really? Is it really still you? Because like, that you're not the Steve that I know.
No.
Like, I don't,
Why
ah,
why is he expecting her to just sleep in the same bed as him like everything's normal? Go and sleep at a fucking friend's place. Like just go anywhere else. Don't be in the same fucking bed. Like, oh well, come to bed, let's spoon and cuddle and pretend everything's fine. No, you cheated on her. Of course she just found out. She's gonna be upset. Why is
yeah.
he I hate Steve. He has no like he has no fucking brain in his head.
I don't get it. It's like, I truly, because it's like, when people cheat, it's premeditated to some degree. It has to be because it's like you don't accidentally do it. Like it's something where obviously he had been thinking about it to some extent. And then it also is something that he feels bad enough to the extent that he knows he needs to tell her about it. So it's like I just feel like these are just not ideas that work together because if he has the balls to tell her that he did it, he also probably has the balls to have had the conversation with her about just what is going on in his head before doing it. Like I just
Yeah.
doesn't make sense. And I know like when people cheat, it just doesn't usually make sense anyway because it's just fucking stupid and people shouldn't do it. But it's just like it frustrates me so much. And it's just like, there's no part of me that wants Miranda to be with Steve after this. Like, I don't want her to be like, oh, well, it's better for Brady for us to be together. It's like, no, like he's at an age where like, if you were to get divorced now, you just kept things like relatively normal and weren't like a freak about it. Like either of you were like, fighting in front of him or anything like that. That is pretty much the most normal time you can get divorced and have your kid turn out like not super fucked up.
Yeah. And like they're not doing that. And Miranda is being a good parent. She's like, no, we need to stay in a similar area so we can stay at the same school. And he's spending, certain days with his dad, certain days with me, and they don't fight in front of him. They're perfectly civil in front of him. They're very like it is exactly like they're doing it in the way when they actually do break up. They do it in a way that is like the most beneficial way for Brady, and that like Miranda is obviously putting Brady first, but like he broke her trust in a massive way, so she doesn't want to be with him anymore. Like her friend should understand that, but they kind of don't. And yeah, in the next scene we have Miranda like telling the girls, and she's saying like she's going to immediately try and look for another apartment because she doesn't want to just be living out of a hotel with Brady. But also I don't know, maybe Miranda wanted to move so that she's closer to her work. But then it's like, she bought the fucking house. Steve moved out. He cheated. Throw him out on the throw him out the snow.
Should be moving. Yeah, I agree. I feel like she should be getting him to move and still like, because I think the places she's looking for are still in Brooklyn, I think, because she wants to be close. So like,
they might be like a little bit nearer Manhattan. I think, well, because they're on opposite sides of the bridge now. So I mean, maybe she's like in downtown Manhattan. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's still pretty nearish. Like, obviously, it's in the same district, so Brady can still get to school.
Yeah, for sure. And it's like, it's not like Magda's living with them anymore. Like we find out at some point in the movie that like, or not Magda, sorry, Mary, Steve's mom, because she's now in like a long-term care home for seniors. Like she has like, she fully like has Alzheimer's now. And so she's not living with them. So it's not like she has to be like, oh, well, I'm not going to throw your mom out on the street because the mom doesn't live there anymore. So it's not a problem.
No.
But it's so frustrating.
It's so fucking stupid. I hate it. It's so dumb.
I hate so much when TV shows and movies use cheating as a dramatic plot point. There are so many other plots you can do. It has just been done so many times before that all it does is makes me uncomfortable. Like this is one of the biggest reasons why I just like never actually finished Mad Men, because John Draper makes me so angry. He makes me more angry than Walter White makes me, because I get so mad at him for everything he does. I'm like,
Walter White killed people.
Walter White kills people, but Don Draper is like, I am just never going to emotionally connect with any of the women that I'm with, and I am going to promise to be with them forever, have children with them, get married to them, but still continue to betray their trust and cheat on them constantly. And it's just like, you do not deserve to be around other humans. Like you should be shot.
He's like, let me marry these beautiful women and then make them be housewives and cheat on them. I'm a good person. I feel this is the thing is like, I think if cheating was at least done in a way, like with Mad Men, I feel like not all the time Mad Men, in some stuff, like the whole Lana Del Rey, like it's kind of like, oh, I'm cheating with like an older man. It's dangerous and we're having an illicit affair. Like, okay, grow up. If it's done where it's the actual issue, and it's something Miranda actually says in the movie, I think, where she says the actual issue is that he lied to her and went behind her back.
Yeah, and he broke her trust in a way that's
the thing with cheating.
Yeah,
exactly. That's the thing with cheating that is the reason like it ruins relationships, because obviously people, it's not sex, because like people in open relationships or in polyamorous relationships, when everything's above board and everyone knows you're not being monogamous, obviously you still have to deal with jealousy and stuff, but you're not breaking anyone's trust. When you're breaking someone's trust, like that is the
Mhm.
thing that ruins relationships, because relationships are built on trust. So I think if something's going to actually deal with it like that, fine. But like a lot of the time, it's just like, ooh, secret affair, or they give it to a character to cause drama and just to be like, oh no, he cheated on me.
Yeah, it truly is just so frustrating when like shows do it to like when they like try to make like a love triangle and then they make one couple like one person cheat on their partner with the other one and then you're supposed to like root for one of the couples. It's like, well, first of all, I'm never going to root for you to get back with someone you cheated on ever. And then
No.
I also don't really want to root for you to get with this person that you cheated with because then it's like I don't know, you're like I just
I'm
about
gonna
it
root
is
for
just
like the two
yeah.
other people in the triangle to then kill you and hook up.
Yeah, exactly. It's just very like ugh, I don't know.
Mm,
It makes me feel icky and I just hate that it's like I just hate it. I hate it. And it's
yeah,
very boring. Ugh.
it's
Hey,
boring, it's
Miranda.
stale, it's been done a million times.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Um, so Carrie wants to organize a wedding. She's a bit big. And the guest list has gone up from 75 to 200. And Big is starting to feel the pressure. And he basically says to her, like, makes him look bad, like having this massive wedding and being in Vogue and being on page 6. Like, he's doesn't really want that. And he let it happen because he knows Carrie does. Um,
Yeah.
and
The reason it looks bad for him is because this is his third marriage. So that's why he
yeah,
cares.
he's like, kind of looks bad. And Carrie's like, oh, okay, well, why didn't you tell me earlier? And he's like, because I wanted to make you happy. Like, he says, I don't care. We'll go down to City Hall tomorrow and get married. Like, I just want to be with you. And Carrie's like, oh, okay. And then they still have the massive wedding anyway.
Yeah, well, I guess the thing is kind of like she's like, I didn't realize you felt this way. And she makes kind of a face. And he's like, see, I didn't want you to like to feel sad about it, which is why I want to do the wedding because that's what you want. And so it's like they just agree that they're still going to do it. And
Yeah.
75 people is still like a sizable wedding to me. Like it's not I wouldn't call that small. I would call it like a medium-sized wedding. Like it's not huge obviously, but it's like
No, yeah, I would say that was medium size. Like a small wedding would be like definitely under 50.
yeah, for
Um,
sure.
and then yeah, it's like small, it's like smallish. I guess they know a lot of people. So like
Yeah,
75 is probably the most, like the least they can invite without like making people feel bad.
yeah, probably.
You
Like
know, because
to
obviously
include
he
it.
probably still has to invite like work people, and she has loads of friends, as we've seen from watching the show for 6 years.
Yeah, so like it makes sense that there'd be like that many people. Carrie also mentioned she's like Big's like, why is it 200 now? Like that's over double the size. And she's like, okay, let me put this in terms you'd understand. Like you like poker, right? The
Mhm.
dress upped the ante. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense. That's not a metaphor that makes sense. Like,
No, like I don't know poker. I guess she's trying to say like, oh, someone put like big money on the table, so now we all got to put big money on. Um, but whatever. Like I don't know. Just say like if she was like, well, the dress. I really want to wear the dress. The dress wouldn't have made sense for a small wedding, and as I just kind of got carried away when I got the dress, and we're here now, and everything's booked, so we might as well.
yeah, I guess.
I guess. Um, so it's the night before the wedding, the dinner rehearsal, and I also Carrie doesn't have family.
I don't know. I was wondering about this. I was like, it all just seems to be friends and work people, and there really doesn't seem to be anyone who's brought any family to this. Big
No,
is kind of old. So I wouldn't be surprised if his parents were dead, but like Carrie probably has living family still. I don't know.
I don't know.
Um,
I mean, we have no one like has any family. The only time family existed was when Miranda's mother died, and I
yeah,
think
or like
we saw,
Trey.
yeah, and we saw like Charlotte's brother for like one
Yeah,
episode.
that was it.
Otherwise, no one has any family. Everyone's just orphans. Um,
Yeah, they basically are. And then
so-
Miranda's mom died at one point, and like that is Yeah, Carrie and Samantha, they were immaculately conceived.
They
Apparently,
just came out of the ocean like Aphrodite.
they did.
Yeah. So, so this a rehearsal dinner, and Samantha is the maid of honor for some reason. So she makes a speech, and she's like, "Oh, this is where the maid of honor tells embarrassing stories about the bride, but I think I'll do it about the groom instead." And some fucking dickhead who works at Big's firm is like, he says something. He's like, "Oh yeah, the groom. He's heard that before." How are you heckling? You're heckling at a fucking rehearsal dinner. What's going on?
Yeah, what a dick. And he says another thing because like Samantha starts giving her toast and he's just like, yeah, third time's the charm. Am I right, John? And it's just like, and Samantha's like, shut up, dickweed. Or no, dickwad.
Yeah, she's like, shut up. And like Carrie is saying to Big, she's like, he's a dick. Like he's a real jerk. Like he fucking sucks. But I guess like he had to invite him. So it's a bit awkward. And then the boys and Samantha are outside sharing an illegal Cuban cigar. And Steve shows up. And he looks like shit. And he's like,
looks like such shit.
He looks like fucking shit. He looks like he's been drinking for a fucking week. And he's like, "Oh, hi guys. I really need to speak to Miranda, and I think she might be here." He looks like, he just looks like a fucking incel.
He looks like shit, and it's like obviously she's not going to forgive you if you like. He barely even made an effort. He knows he looks like shit because he wants Sam to get Miranda to come outside so he doesn't have to go into the party because he knows the party's fancy. Like, why did you need to come to this? I guess the only reason that makes sense is because he knows where Miranda will be this night when he might not normally know, because like she's not returning calls or emails or anything like that, I guess. And so like this is really the only option, maybe.
Does she not at home
together, right?
Well, no, I guess because she was probably staying in a hotel for a while she looked at another place. I don't know.
I thought she said she didn't want to do that. Like I thought she was like, I'm still gonna live at the house until I find a new place because I don't want it to be weird for Brady.
That makes more sense. So yeah, why wouldn't she be at home?
Don't know.
Also, maybe like Magda would speak to him. I don't know. And like I don't know. It's weird. Like, are they not sharing Brady at this point? Anyway,
I think they are. Yeah.
So like he would have to see her for that. Anyway, he comes looking like shit, and he's like, he looks like the fucking incel in the incel Chad meme. Like he just looks like shit. And Samantha, he's like, "Oh, Samantha, can you go get Miranda for me?" So she's like, "Yeah, sure, sweetie." She's so funny. He's like, "Oh God, he's fucking pathetic." And she goes in and she's like, "Steve's here." So Miranda goes outside to speak to Steve. Everyone else goes back in. There's like a really nice shot where Samantha is like looking through the glass windows at Miranda and like making sure she's okay before leaving. And I'm like,
that's nice.
But yeah, so they talk and Steve again apologizes. Miranda is like, "Oh, fuck you. Fucking." I mean, it's all the same stuff he said before. He doesn't say anything new. He's just like, "Oh, I cheated on you just one time. I'm really sorry. My dick accidentally fell in her vagina."
Yeah, like it was a mistake. It was an accident. It only happened once. It didn't mean anything. And it's just like Miranda's basically just like, you broke everything that we had. Like we had this family and you broke it. Like you just ruined all of it. I don't like, she's completely right. Like she basically yells at him and then storms off. And
she's like, "I changed myself for you," which she did. She, obviously it's a character arc or whatever, but like she's a different person to accommodate Steve, and that's a lot. And she goes back in. She runs into Big, and she says, "Dun dun dun." She's like, "You two are crazy to get married. Marriage ruins everything," and then storms off.
And then Big just has this pensive look where he's just like, interesting question, interesting point that I, who has been married twice, have never considered what the impact of marriage is. Like, okay, not only has Big been married twice, Big is twice divorced because in both relationships he cheated.
Yeah. One of them was with Carrie.
Yeah, and it's very much like Big very much knows the thing of Miranda and Steve because Big was Steve. Big is literally like, oh, my relationship got really stagnant and then I cheated and then it ended. And that is twice that happened with his marriage. So why is he suddenly like, oh God, what if this ruins my marriage with what if this ruins my relationship with Carrie if we get married? And it's like, I just I don't understand.
Why haven't you come to that conclusion before now? If you were going to come to that conclusion, why did it take you, what, at least 6 months to do that?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it'd be one thing if I guess that like set stuff off. If him cheating on his previous like wives became a plot point, as it really should be to make sense, the writing would be a bit more forgivable, but it doesn't. Because he never says like, oh, I'm worried that it's going to get stagnant with Carrie. I'm going to cheat on her and I'm going to hurt her even more. Like,
Yeah.
and like maybe we should just end it here, or maybe we should just not get married. Like maybe marriage is like the trigger for me or something. No, he's just like, what? Marriage is bad? So he sits at the bar and drinks a scotch. And Carrie comes over and she's like, all right, I'm going to go for the little sleepover and I'm going to see you tomorrow. Like, give me one big movie kiss and I'll be all right. And he kisses her and she's like, what's wrong? And he's like, oh, I'm tired. Nothing's wrong. Your best friend didn't say anything weird to me earlier. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. And then she's like, okay, time to go. And they have like a sleepover. I think they're at Charlotte's place. It's like Lily and Carrie and Charlotte and Miranda and Sam all just like sitting in this bed together and they're talking and blah, blah, blah about
and they're
everything.
wearing like matching satin pajamas. And I think this might be where the craze for like pajamas that say like bride and bridesmaid and are like matching pajamas for weddings became a thing, because I always see them whenever I like shop online somewhere.
Yeah, that could be true. They definitely could have popularized this.
And also it must be so late and Lily is there. Like
Lily is just awake. Like Lily, so Carrie's phone rings because Big calls and Lily answers the phone. And since they were just talking about sex, and then so Lily repeats the word and she picks up the phone and she's just like, sex. They're all laughing.
Someone either put a baby in me or adopt a baby for me. I want my fucking Lily. Love this queen.
She's so cute. And Carrie's phone is also just this like bedazzled flip phone. Like,
yeah, it's so great. I had a look. Apparently on IMDb it says it's the same phone that she had by like the last season. I don't know if that's true because she barely ever used it. But to show wear and tear, it has like duct tape all over it, which I noticed for the first time watching it, and I thought it was so funny.
It's really funny that like Carrie has all these incredibly nice things, but that when it comes to like her cell phone, it's just like this piece of shit.
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess like Carrie famously has like an issue with technology. Like,
that's true.
she doesn't really like it or care about it, but also I'm still like, I don't know. I guess she's like me, where I'm just like, if it's pink, like I bought my laptop because it was purple.
Yeah, fully. I would do the same thing if I saw a purple laptop in a store. So, it makes sense. But Lily answers the phone, and then Carrie's like, "Oh, I'll take it because it's obviously for her and not Lily."
Not Lily.
It's Big and Big. She goes to the other room and talks to him, and he's like having doubts. He's just like, like, you know, everything we have is good. Do we really want to change that with marriage? Like, I don't know. I'm trying to write these vows, but like having a really hard time. And just Carrie's like, calm down. Just like, don't overthink it. Like, we've already made every single mistake we could possibly make in this relationship. So like, we're good. Like, what else can we do wrong?
She's tempting fate, but also she's not wrong. They have kind of fucked everything up. So it's a miracle they're still together. And she's like, look, whenever I have writer's block, which is what you're having right now, you should just go to bed and you'll know what you want to do in the morning.
Uh,
I don't know if I would say
tomorrow is
that
the
to would I say that to someone the date, like the night before we went to get married? I wouldn't be like, oh, well, you'll know what you want to do in the morning, so just sleep on it. Don't sleep on it if we're getting married.
Yeah. Why is he writing his vows the day before the wedding also? Like, I know this is a really common thing you see in like movies and shows where they're like really struggling with their vows till the last minute, but like he started it at the last minute. It's not that he's just like suddenly struggling after having tried to write them for like weeks. It's like, no, he literally just started after
Yeah.
being out drinking and is like, yeah, I don't know, I'm struggling here.
Yeah, I think being drunk is the greatest time to write your fucking wedding vows. It's a
But
lot.
yeah, they kind of end the conversation in a place where she's like, we're good. We can't screw anything else up. And like, it, all that matters is that it's me and you. Like, the wedding is whatever. It's just like, it's us. And he seems to kind of feel better at this point, or at least he seems to be for like a second. But like, he's not. And I also
No.
want to note, this is the point in my notes where I wrote in all caps, we are not even at an hour into this wedding yet. Sorry, we are not even an hour into this movie yet, and we are just getting to wedding day. And this is a 2.5 hour film.
We're at like an hour and 22 recording this, and we're not even at the wedding yet. I'm so glad. I'm so glad you said split it. If my fucking God. Ugh, I hate this film. Why is it so like so much happens? There's no time to breathe.
It's so much happens, and like this is what I said when it was like they make it like it's like all these episodes back to back where each episode has a 3-act plot to it, and then they just string them together to make a movie, which is not a coherent way and not a good. It's not how you pace movies at all. Like they have so much trouble with this because like the first act of the movie is like they're deciding that they want to get married and they are like getting all this stuff set up, and Carrie's realizing she needs to like move out of her apartment and like getting that all done, and like there's like bumps along the way, and then we get into this other one where there's like the wedding part of it, and then there's like I'm gonna split this up into like several discrete episodes basically is how it works.
Yeah, this is basically the end of episode 2. Like that's where we are right now.
Yeah, and we're basically doing like, God, Jesus fucking Christ. I still have like another page of notes before thank God we have no questions this week because like.
Thank God. I mean, usually we're like sending questions. Don't send in questions when we're doing the movies. I'm sorry. I don't think you should send us questions. They're going to take so long.
We're like fucking like I said I was gonna take pretty bare bones notes compared to usual, and I did, and I still have like 4.5 pages of notes, and I have 45 minutes left in the movie. Like I'm screaming, like my brain is on fire. We are at the wedding day, and why couldn't they just have made the entire movie like a fun time with the girls, maybe with one bad man, and then the end, Big and Carrie get married, and we figure out that Big has been good the rest of the time, and we should root for them to be together. Like, why could they not have just made that movie? Like, I just don't care.
The whiplash I felt in like last week watching the season finale and being like, oh, maybe Big is good, to I will fucking kill John James Preston. Like,
I'm going to fucking kill him. I feel like I'm Peter Jackson making the Hobbit movies right now, where I'm like, we're going to take this one movie, we're going to take this one story and do it in one podcast episode. And then we're like, shit, okay, we got to do this in 2. And then it's like, shit, we probably should have done this in 3 episodes, huh? Except for... Well, no, it's not even except for. In both cases, both the stories should only be 1 episode, 1 movie, but it's 3 movies in 1, and I don't want it, and I dislike it, and I hate it, even though I like the predecessor that came before it.
Everything would be better if fucking Orlando Bloom was here, but he's not. So life is even harder for us than it was for Peter Jackson.
What if she ended up with Viggo Mortensen?
Good. Fucking good. When he broke his toe, ooh.
Oh, that was sexy. And then he's still just acting, the cinema. Yeah, it's good
Oh, he
shit.
rode that horse. Oh,
Yeah,
damn.
it's good
I
shit.
would end up with Viggo Mortensen. Jesus.
Yeah.
All right, we have to get through this wedding. Okay, so it's wedding time. Carrie's wearing the fucking Vivienne Westwood dress, and she has this stupidly massive fucking fascinator on. I guess they wanted to make her outfit for the wedding like as like bodacious as possible. Bombastic is what I'm looking for. As
Yeah, it's a
bombastic
lot.
as possible. Yeah,
Yeah,
big
she
is
also has this
calling.
huge bird.
Yeah, she's got a bird in her hair,
Yeah,
like
which
Marie Antoinette.
it's fucking huge. It's supposed to look very fancy, but to me it just looks kind of stupid. She also gets a call from Big, but she doesn't have her phone on her, so Lily answers it again, and she's just like goodbye and hangs up the phone and puts it inside her cupcake clutch, which is adorable.
But it's also apparently that's like $4,000 because it's like
What?
diamante.
Holy
Yeah.
shit! That's
But
fucking wild.
it's like crystal. It's not just like a normal like cupcake purse that like you would think a 3-year-old would have. Like it's like crystallized.
Yeah.
Again, I want to point out that there was a massive recession at the time this film was released. So yeah, Big keeps calling. He like leaves voicemail and he's like, Carrie, I need to speak to you. Carrie, I need to speak to you. And then we find like they all get in the car, like the girls get in the limo, and then like Big is sitting outside, right? And Anthony and Stanford are there because Anthony's planning the wedding. And Anthony says to Stanford, like, okay, we have an issue, like neither of them are here. And the girls were just stuck in traffic, but Big was like sitting outside in his car. And he
Why
said,
did he even go?
why even go? But he sits outside in his car and he's like, he apparently can't get out of the car. I guess it's anxiety. I don't think it's anxiety though. I think it's just him being a knob because he sees her and he's like, come on, baby, turn around. Come on, baby. And she turns around and he sees her. And instead of like just getting out the car and being like, Carrie, I really need to speak to you before you go in.
Yeah.
Because he says he wanted to check, like he wants to talk to her one more time and make sure it's just, she says like it's just me and you. He wants to make sure of that again, apparently. But he quote unquote can't get out of the car. And like Carrie and the girls arrive, and so, like they kind of read from Anthony and Stanford's face that like it's not good. And he tells Samantha that Big isn't there. Carrie overhears and she's like, what do you mean he's not here? So she calls him. And like apparently this is like the first film to show an iPhone.
This is really funny because Samantha is because yeah, she doesn't know where her phone is because Lily has it. And so Samantha's like, here, use my phone, but it's an iPhone. And so Carrie's just like, I don't know how to use this shit. Like, no, someone else give me your phone.
Yeah. So like Stanford gives her his flip phone and she calls him and he's like, I can't go in without you. I need to know. And it's like, I need to know it's just us. And he's already left. He was there and he's like, oh yeah, I left.
Why did he leave? I'm screaming at this. I'm so pissed off. Also, this just goes to show how shitty of a boyfriend he is. He doesn't even have any of her friends' phone numbers because he should have been like, all right, I'm going to call Miranda. Miranda will surely be next to her. I'll call Samantha. Samantha's the maid of honor. I'm going to call her. He does not call anyone else. He just keeps trying Carrie over and over and over again when she's not picking up. And obviously she's getting ready for her wedding and she's already running late. She is already 25 minutes late for the wedding. And he's still trying to call her like as if I am so mad. I hate him so much.
Yeah, he doesn't have any of her friends' numbers. He doesn't like know where Charlotte lives. Even in the case of an emergency, you think you would have like one of her friends' numbers. They've been going out for 4 years. For 4 years.
Yeah.
So so he's like, oh yeah, I left. And then obviously Carrie, we get a slow-mo of her dropping the phone to the floor and she's like starts hyperventilating and freaking out. And it's so dramatic. I mean, okay, obviously like if someone left me at the altar, or not even that, but like cancelled the wedding on the day of the wedding, I would go. I don't know. I think I would go nuclear levels.
I would shit my pants. I would shit my pants and throw it at them. Like that's literally what I would do.
I would be like scratching people's eyes out with my bare fucking fingers.
It's just the way it's shot is really funny because she lets it slide out of her hand. The flip phone is still open and it just slides like in slow-mo down her beautiful dress, and it's just like so stupid.
Down this like satin Vivienne Westwood couture dress. It's so much. And yeah, so she freaks out and she's like, get me out of this dress. Like, I want to go home. I want to leave. And she's like, and Samantha is like, look, I'll stay here with the homosexuals. You and the girls go back and like, we'll sort this out. I guess because you have to get like fucking 200 people out of a building and tell them all, by the way, the wedding's not fucking happening. So it's really sad. And then they're leaving and Big realizes he fucked up, so he tells the driver to turn around, and by the
one-way street
down a one-way street, and then he sees Carrie going the other way in her limo, and he's like, Carrie, and rolls down the window, and he gets out and she gets out and she runs over and she beats the shit out of him with a bouquet.
It's so fucking good. She fucking smashes the flowers on his head and is just like, I knew you would do this. I knew you would be terrible. And like, you piece of shit, you fucking ruined everything. And just
she's like, I am humiliated.
Yeah. Oh, it's good shit. She fucking just tears his asshole open. And like, then like the girls hold her. And while like Charlotte looks at her, she just points and yells like, no. She just like it just reminds me of like the fucking Family Guy monkey or whatever, just like pointing and staring at Big and just
she's like, no, get away from her. And you know, obviously don't condone hitting your significant other. If they leave you at the altar when like you've been featured in Vogue about your wedding, you can hit someone with a bouquet. Like, it's not going to hurt them.
Soft.
And he
more
fucking
like the humiliation.
It's the least he deserves. He deserves to fucking get his. If I were Miranda or Charlotte, I would have beat the shit out of him myself. I would have literally decked him.
Truly, I would have done that too. But they restrain. They drive off again. And we get back to Charlotte's place. Carrie's just kind of like, I just feel nothing. Like, I'm not even upset anymore. I just feel like everything is just a void.
And she's drinking straight vodka. And she
is.
she's like there in like sweatpants and obviously has taken off a wedding dress and is just like, she's very extremely depressed, as you would be. She feels nothing. And the other girls are just sort of with her, like comforting her, and you know, Miranda, it kind of sets in for Miranda, like, oh shit, maybe I fucked this up. Even though I still don't think it was Miranda shouldn't have said that to him, really. But like, it was from an emotional place, and it's not like she did it on purpose.
Yeah, it was a shitty thing to say, but it's one of those things where it's like, if he already felt kind of anxious about it, like all that would maybe do is tip the scale a little bit more. But like, I feel like he already would have been in that place of kind of uncertainty and anxiety, because he already seemed like he was kind of there before that too.
Yeah. So like Miranda pulls Charlotte to the side and is like, tells her what happened and says like, oh, should I tell Carrie? And Charlotte's like, no, don't do that. It's just going to upset her even more. And like, Big was already weird about weddings. Like, this wasn't your fault. And she's right, but obviously I guess it's playing on her conscience. Also, so Carrie paid for the honeymoon to Mexico and she has to cancel that, obviously, but Samantha tries to do it for her and she can't get it cancelled, but she can get extra tickets.
True. She got extra tickets and Miranda's like, what are you talking about? I can't take 3 days. I can't take a week off work because I am a full-time working mom. I can't just go home to Mexico. And fucking Samantha's just like, they just look at Carrie, who's just fucking dissociating. And they're like, okay, we can go. They like smash cut to them in Mexico, arriving at their location.
When they get to Mexico, like Carrie just goes straight to bed.
It's a fucking mood. She lies down.
When she looks in the mirror and she looks like shit, and like she just goes straight to bed, and apparently she sleeps for like a day. And in my head, I just had fucking Possibility by like Lee from the fucking New Moon soundtrack because it reminded me of when Edward left.
Oh my god. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, she lies down in the bed after the girls have already like cleared all of the roses off, like the rose petals off of it before Carrie can see them.
Yeah.
And then Carrie's like close all of the shutters and she sleeps until like the next dinner, and then she doesn't go down for dinner, and then she sleeps until like the next breakfast, and then Samantha's like, you need to eat. So she like spoon feeds her something that looks like milk or yogurt.
Yeah. It's like really sad. She obviously like is just like catatonic almost. Like she's definitely dissociating. She's incredibly depressed. It's really sad. And so she feeds her, and then like a little bit later she just comes out of bed. Like Carrie just comes out of the bed and is like, yeah, I'm good now. And they sit by the pool a little bit later, and Miranda's pussy is hairy.
Miranda's got a bikini line going, and Samantha's just like, ah!
Disgusting! Disgusting.
So, okay, once again, the movie kind of going back on what the show has celebrated in the past, because the show has done both the getting bikini waxes and going full bush, both being sexy and valid ways to have a pussy. And now suddenly Samantha's like, oh, you've got hairs poking out of your bikini, out of your bathing suit. Like, that's horrifying. Even if I was on death row, I'd still have a bikini wax. And it's just like, holy shit, Samantha, like, chill.
Yeah. Like, it's so weird. Like, she's really going in on her about it. Like, making like one little joke like, oh, you forgot to wax, like, ha ha ha, let's giggle about it. But she's like, ugh, like she seems like disgusted, as opposed to like it feels like Samantha from the show would probably just laugh at it, you know?
Yeah, like she would make like one comment, and instead it turns into her being kind of like Miranda's defensive, obviously, and she's just like, look, I'm married, I have a kid, like I have so much stuff to do, like I have different priorities than you. I don't have time to just get like my bikini wax. This was also a last minute trip and everything. And Samantha's just like, I would never be caught dead without a bikini wax.
Yeah, and then Miranda is like, oh, what? So you're, and Miranda gets more and more defensive, and she's like, oh, you're saying it's my fault that like I didn't have sex with Steve, which I don't know, if you shouldn't wax your pussy just to have sex with someone.
Oh, no. That's definitely not.
Which again is like another thing they're kind of saying.
Yeah, they get a bit defensive because I think like Samantha says something well, Charlotte's married and has a kid and she still does this, and Miranda's just like, great, so you're saying that everyone should have the exact same priorities and time to do things, and like that I'm just a terrible person for not having a waxed pussy. And like obviously that's not what Samantha's saying, but she is being really rude about it in a way that's just like, who gives a shit? Like, it's also just the four girls hanging out sunbathing in bathing suits together. Like, there's no reason for her to need to have a bikini wax. Like,
no, it's not like they're in public, and it's not like they're going to a public pool. Like they have their own private suite. So it just, I don't know, you'd make a little joke about it, you'd all laugh it off, and it would just be forgotten. And it's just one of those things. It's like, it's weird. And Miranda storms off. And then
well, we also get one other thing in this scene, which I thought was like really odd, which is the part where they're all like outside eating, and Charlotte is like skeptical of all of the food because she's being kind of just racist. She's just like, well, I'm not going to eat any of the food that's like not from America. I don't trust any of the stuff from Mexico. So the only thing she's eating is the fucking pudding that came from Poughkeepsie. I'm like, they're just like eating normal food, and like I just even if they were not at a resort, it would still be shitty of her to be like this. But also, they are at a resort. Like, is she expecting everything there to be just bad? Like,
They're at a 5-star resort, and like, also, does she know that food is cooked and like cooking food kills germs?
yeah,
So if she was really like freaked out about that kind of stuff, she could just order cooked food. But like, yeah, it does feel like very racist. I mean, I get like obviously you can't drink the water in Mexico, um,
yeah.
but it just feels weird that she's like, oh, and you can't eat the food. Like, no, you can obviously eat the fucking food, and everyone else is fine, and everyone else is eating the food.
Yeah, and it's all like really good food too. It's not like it's just like, oh, shitty food. It's like she's eating pudding when there's like a fucking full breakfast in front of them. Like,
Yeah,
she won't even drink the margaritas.
she won't even drink a margarita, which has alcohol in it. Alcohol kills germs, so just drink alcohol.
Come on,
That's
just
what
drink
I mean.
it.
That's what
Come
like
on.
they did in medieval times. So
Right?
science.
Like, that should just kill all of the bacteria in your body. Like, that's how you should just become healed. I'm a doctor. You should listen to me.
Yeah, exactly. We're
Um,
scientists.
exactly. Like, whatever. I have a master's of science. You should trust me.
I
Um,
do.
thank you.
So yeah, that's we. It'll be important later that the puddings are from Poughkeepsie.
It will be
Poughkeepsie?
important very soon. Poughkeepsie,
Yes.
yeah. Which is I think it's in New York State. I think.
I can Google.
I'm
I don't
pretty
know.
sure. Yeah, if it's not in New York, it's in New Jersey. Like, it's in that realm of places.
Yeah, it's in New York State. Well done. I know the Poughkeepsie tapes, which is like this horror film that was like found footage, and it's like one of those like this is super fucked up. Sarah will know what I'm on
I
about.
only really know much about Poughkeepsie, and when I say much, I mean nothing at all, except for where its relative location is, because of I was obsessed with Friends as a teenager, and there's like an episode where Ross goes to Poughkeepsie, and that's like
Oh
it.
wow.
Yeah, so I know it's like within train distance from New York City. So that's about all I know. Um anyway, we then go out for drinks. The girls are they're getting some margaritas, but like I said, Charlotte won't even have a margarita. She's drinking her smart water instead. And when the waiter goes to take their order, he asks for the room number, and Carrie's like, "Oh, it's one of the like private rooms, like house number 3 or something like that." And he's just like, "Oh, thank you, Mrs. Preston." And so they all kind of like poke fun at her for a second, but like she doesn't think it's very funny because,
Yeah. F's in the chat, everyone.
F's in the chat for Carrie, for Mrs. Preston.
So yeah, and next, so they're like drinking, and Carrie, and they're all going over their like men issues. Obviously Carrie's still like that big, and like he couldn't even get out of the fucking car for me.
Yeah.
And then Miranda is like, fucking Steve cheated on me. There was the one, and he broke my heart. And Samantha is kind of upset that her whole life revolves around Smith.
Yeah, because like he's the one who's like he's relatively famous now, and like she like most of her work is representing him at this point, and she's also kind of sad because she wanted to buy the ring for herself, and then Smith ended up buying it for her. Like she wanted that to be her gift to herself, but like and like the other girls are like, "Oh, well, he just wanted to do something nice because he knew you wanted it," and she's like, "I know, like it's not his fault. It's just like." Sometimes you want to treat yourself and don't want she kind of has this whole thing about how like, ladies, like you don't need to it's not exactly like the you don't need a man to like complete you thing, but it's kind of just like is love the kind of thing where you like need to always be thinking about them, care more about them than you do about yourself. Like, I think love should also be caring about yourself, like as much or more than you do for your partner.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
when she
just
kind of
about-
brings that up.
Yeah, it's like this is the thing about it's like about independence. Like that's her thing is being independent. And obviously if her work life revolves around Smith as well, it means she doesn't have like a balance. So I think that's
Yeah.
her issue.
Yeah.
So basically then the next day, they are obviously recovering from a night of drinking. Carrie doesn't want to look at her voicemail because his messages are full, and she knows that Big will be on there. So she doesn't want to listen to it. And then Charlotte is like, I'm going to go for a run and do Pilates. Do you ladies want to come? And they all just stare at her.
Which is like a mood. Like, could you imagine? No.
Absolutely not.
They are doing more productive stuff than I would if I had just had like a night drinking, probably. Like if this is an all-inclusive resort, like as many margaritas as you fucking want, like they're like actually making progress in like hiring people to get all of Carrie's stuff out of Big's place and get it into her new into her old place, and also closing the deal with the person who bought her place so that she could get it back and like get all of the stuff moved in. So like they're pulling a lot of strings from far away where they like don't even have, like, Carrie's not even there to be like, oh, here's the keys to my place. Like literally she doesn't even have them anymore, probably because she moved out. Like,
no. And it's so weird to for them to like do that and to like give it back. Imagine if you bought a place and someone was like, can I have it back actually? Fuck no.
Yeah. No. It's a lot, but she's very lucky. She gets it back. And yeah, so they're busy working on that. Charlotte does her run and then she goes into the shower and she's kind of distracted thinking about like how happy she is, because she's like, fuck, like a lot of my friends are really great people and they're having these terrible things happen to them. Like, I'm so happy I have such a great husband and daughter and family and life and everything's so good. But she gets so distracted that she gets some of the shower water in her mouth. She doesn't even swallow it. She just gets it in her mouth.
I mean, I guess the water in Mexico is that bad. I mean, obviously it's not the water, it's the fact she's eaten nothing but pudding for the past few days.
Yeah.
And there was also that scene where like she has sex with Harry and she's like, thank you for being you. And it's so fucking saccharine.
It's a lot. It's just like, she's just so happy that it's like, thank you for not cheating on me and thank you for not leaving me at the altar and, you know, being
thank you for not being a total piece of shit. Thank you, Harry.
Yeah. But yeah, she has this moment, and then after she gets water in her mouth, she kind of freaks out for a second, and then she just like spits it out, and she just looks horrified momentarily. And then she like, we see her walking around, and she's just like, she's walking back to the place with the girls, and she's just like very uncomfortable looking and just like almost like borderline running. And then she gets there and she's like banging on the door trying to fucking get in. And this is where she makes the faces. I posted a couple images.
We hear like tummy noises as well, which is always great. Hear some
great tummy noises. I posted a couple screen caps in our live blogging channel, in our live bigging channel and the Discord of some of the faces that Charlotte makes in this scene. Beautiful. I cannot explain enough how funny this is to me, her face acting of her making the upset stomach, oh no, I can't get inside because the maid is mopping the floor and I don't have enough time to get to another bathroom. So she literally shits her pants in front of the three other girls while they just laugh at her.
And they laugh. And it's also the first time Carrie laughs since the wedding.
Yeah.
So it's a thank you for shitting your pants. That's what good friends do.
Yeah, it's a lot. I don't even remember the wordplay they use for this. Like,
she Poughkeepsied her pants.
Yeah, right. Poughkeepsied her pants. Yeah, she sure shits her pants, which sure is not something that I ever really would have like watched the show and been like, oh, there's going to be a funny moment where Charlotte shits her pants at some point. Like, they did that. They did it. They made a funny part where she shits her duty ass. And it is, I gotta say, it's pretty fucking funny to me. It's probably the highlight of the movie.
It's like pretty fucking good. It's funny. It's very funny.
Her faces. You have to see the face. You have to see the face
because like I don't like toilet humor like at all. But I'm like, oh, I love Kristen. I love a Kristen Davis face.
Yeah.
She makes great faces.
She makes such a face. It's so fucking good. Like, this is literally the only part of the movie that was worth putting this in cinemas for, I think.
I want to see this on the big screen. I want to see this in IMAX. Fucking Christopher Nolan or whatever dumb shit he's doing.
Yeah, I don't give a shit about that.
No.
This is the good shit. This is really good. It's good enough that Carrie finally laughs, and it's great. And then we have one final scene, which is where we are stopping this week. Thank God.
At 2 hours.
Done. at 2 hours in, I'm screaming. This was so much. We haven't even met Louise from St. Louis yet.
I love Louise.
I love her. She's really good. We haven't even met her yet. We have so much more to go. I'm like we are like probably like an hour and a half into the movie maybe at this point. I don't even know. I fucking don't know at this point.
Like, by the way, we have an entire new character to meet, and we're not even, and we've just finished part 1. So I'm really, this is what you're gonna get.
The final scene before the end of our episode today is Carrie standing at the beach. She kind of does like a Job Bluth here with her cell phone, where she like throws it into the ocean, but like it's not like it floats off into the ocean, because she throws it like 4 feet and it just sits there at the shoreline, just on the floor.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of Mamma Mia. Like,
Yeah.
the kind of moments where it's just like looking off in like a distance on a cliff and it's like really over dramatic. It reminded me of that. But she tries to listen to her voicemail, and obviously the first person that comes up is Big's voice, and she just like yeets it. She's like, I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah, she's like, no way, no fucking way. This is bullshit. I'm killing this now. Throws it into the fucking ocean, throws it 3 feet into the ocean, and then walks away. And that's the end of the honeymoon. The rest of the movie after this is post honeymoon. So, yeah, that is a lot to take in. So maybe we should cleanse our palate with we shouldn't do rankings till we finish the movie, if we even do them at all. Let's cleanse our palate with the Patreon, because these are people we like to see instead of people we dislike to see, like the characters in the show. So
we do like these people.
So I'm going to read our $5 net patron list. We have Alex Schaup, Summer Geist, Sophie, Jennifer Snyder, Matt Ribeiro, Jess Ialachi, and Siberian Pine Hardwood. So those are all our $5 and up donors. If you go to patreon.com/citygirlsmakedo, you can donate money to us and give us those funds that will allow you to do things like see the secret channel of Looker and Nanu picks, access our Mummy Mailbag and Keanu podcast episodes. Those are all available at the $1 level. And then at the $5 level, you can get us to read your name and also submit stuff for Steve Voice. And at the $10 level, you can listen to us record live if you want to. Once again, I'd like to reiterate, please don't send us questions for next week, because these movies are too long and we're fucking dying already. And yes, I know we could just skip stuff, but I just have too much to scream about.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like I looked at it and I thought, oh, maybe we'll just do it like how we do like Keanu episodes, and we'll just like give you the gist. But no, there's a lot to talk about.
Well, like, the thing is, it's different from Keanu movies because we have followed these characters for 6 seasons.
Yeah.
There are some plot points that you do need to do justice to, because it's like, we can't just like skim over some of these things. Like, there are scenes we skipped. We did skip scenes, believe it or not.
Yeah, we did.
Like, there are plenty of things that we also could have added that we did not. But that is like the important parts of it. And I mean, also how we feel about it, which was extremely angry, I think, most of the time. But I don't want to finish the movie.
I just want to go to bed. It's 11 o'clock at night. I want to go to bed.
Well, we're done now, at least.
Thank God.
Thank you so much for joining us. I have no idea how people do 2.5-hour movies like every week when they do those podcasts where they like watch the same movie over and over again. Like, it's too long. Films need to be like an hour and a half. Like, that's the good shit. This is ridiculous. This is fucking waste of my time. But okay. But yeah, follow us on Twitter and Tumblr at City Girls Make Do. You can find me on Twitter at Age of Oddish. You can find me on Tumblr at Windfall Island, and all my other podcast stuff you can find on noisepace.xyz as well.
Obviously you can find my stuff on Noisepace as well. I'm on Twitter at Alex Lavergo and on Tumblr at Dork Phoenix. If you're desperate to entertain me, to see my face, Don't know why. I'm very tired. This is taking the things we do for love.
This is true. This is so true. We do a lot. Believe it or not, this is the second episode on Noise Space about the first Sex and the City movie.
Yeah.
Because another podcast also did it, and it was one of the is it the very first Noise Space podcast episode to ever air? I don't remember. It's one of the very early Noise Space podcast episodes.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that old.
Oh yeah, no, it's one of the older ones. But yeah, that's if you want to check that out, that's on Noise Space. Matt posted a link to it in the live begging channel earlier today. It's episode 4 of the podcast Stuck in the Middle with You. So if you want to check that out, it's on noisepace.xyz. They probably do a lot more succinct of a job than we do, but to be fair, they did not follow these characters for 6 seasons before recording the movie episode. So
this is the deep dive of the Sex and the City, the movie, and Sex and the City 2, the sequel, that we were just fucking pining for.
We have saved you hours of your own life. Even though this
much more entertaining than the film. I will say that.
Even though this recording is like longer than the amount of movie footage we covered, we are still giving time back to you somehow. That is how much the movie drains from your life. So, yes. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, I guess we should sign off now. Thank you for listening to podcast again. We'll be back next week with part 2 of the first movie. And you know what we say? Mohe every day. And fuck cops.
So long, good night.
Long good night. Mwah. That's for Keanu. Bye.
Bye.